2017, the Houston Astros won the World Series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. It was the first time the Astros had ever won the World Series. Many of the fans were happy for them, and they had a very talented roster with players like Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, and Justin Verlander. But many people had no idea what was secretly going on. They had really been cheating the entire season. Several years later, after the 2019 season, it was revealed that the Astros had been illegally stealing signs from other teams. They had a camera placed in center field, which sent a feed to a tunnel behind the Astros dugout. A member of the Astros staff would then bang on a trash can to signal to the batter what pitch was coming, mainly off speed.
Next pitch, change up, bang, bang.
There were several times that other teams picked up that the Astros were onto their signs, but I don't think they knew how they had gotten them. Some teams had become suspicious, but it wasn't until the 2019-2020 offseason that everybody found out about it. The result from this was that the Astros were fined $5 million, lost their first and second round draft picks for 2020 and 2021, and manager A.J. Hinch got fired. He was also suspended for 1 year from managing, and the Astros general manager Jeff Lunna was suspended for 1 season as well. The Astros brought in Dusty Baker to manage the team, who's one of the most well-loved and respected managers in MLB history. Many players and fans from around the league were outraged and felt that the Astros World Series should be taken away from them. They also felt that Jose Altuve, who won the MVP award in 2017, should lose the MVP. However, Altuve really didn't use the system when he was batting, and even got angry when the trash can would be banged when he was up. In the 2020 season, the Astros were the most hated team in the MLB, and there were a few conflicts with other teams. Many fans and players were angry, not just from the Astros cheating, but they felt that the 2017 Astros were talented enough to win the World Series without cheating at all. In 2021, when fans returned to stadiums, the Astros got booed loudly everywhere they went. But since then, many of their star players from the World Series team have gone elsewhere. Overall, they kept their 2017 World Series championship. In a way, the 1919 Chicago White Sox were the opposite of the 2017 Houston Astros. They cheated to lose the World Series instead of win it. In 1919, they were in the World Series against the Cincinnati Reds. The White Sox were the best team in the American League after going 88-52. Their star player was outfielder Shoeless Joe Jackson, who in 599 plate appearances that year, struck out just 10 times and hit .351 with an OPS of .928. But in the World Series against the Cincinnati Reds, the White Sox lost because 8 members of the team, including Shoeless Joe Jackson, agreed to throw the games and purposely lose. For doing this, they received money from sports bettors. Most of the team was against it and did not want to throw the series, but the 8 players stuck with it, and the White Sox lost 5-3. The leader was first baseman Chuck Gandil. Each player received $5,000, which is about $80,000 in today's money, and Gandil got $35,000, which would be about $550,000 today. Back then, the players made much less money than they do today, so there was more of a reason for them to want to make the extra cash. But still, it's one of the worst controversies in MLB history, even over 100 years later. People were suspicious after the losses with the way certain things had happened. Rumors started to spread all through the next season, and in 1920, there was an investigation. In the end, they were found out, and in 1921, all 8 of the players were banned from the MLB. This was a shame with as much talent as those players had. In 1951, the New York Giants lost in the World Series to the New York Yankees. However, to help them get to that point, they used a very similar method to the 2017 Houston Astros. It sounds archaic based on the years it took place, but it was almost the same thing. It started when the Giants got Henry Shenz to come to the Giants from the Pirates in the middle of the season. He told the Giants manager Leo DeRocher about a way to steal signs, and they decided to try it. They would use a telescope behind the center field wall to pick up on the opposing catcher's signals. Because they played at the Polo Grounds, the bullpens were actually in fair territory of the outfield. When the telescope operator would see the signs, he would use a wire or a buzzer to signal to a member of the Giants' bullpen. The batter would already be seeing the bullpen members with them being literally in center field, and a designated pitcher would hold up a baseball for a fastball or toss it slightly in the air for an off-speed pitch. This cheating scandal was not fully found out until many years later, and the Giants did not win the World Series that year. It might not seem as big of a deal as the Astros, but it still definitely helped them play better at home that year. The Boston Red Sox won the World Series in 2018, the year after the Houston Astros won it. In 2020, it was found that they too cheated during their championship season. What they did was use their replay monitor to try to figure out the opponent's signals. However, this was much more limited than the Astros, or even the 1951 Giants. This was not known to be directed by a player or a manager, and they didn't have a signal to the hitters when they were batting. They also did not use the system in the World Series. The only penalty they got was their replay room operator was suspended, and they lost their 2020 second-round draft pick. The Red Sox also found themselves in a little bit of trouble the year before this, in 2017. In a series against the New York Yankees, it was found that they were using Apple Watches to try and steal some of the Yankees' signals. This is also illegal, and when the Yankees complained about it to the MLB, the Red Sox admitted it. This apparently was only used for this one series though, and it's not clear how effective it was. From the late 1980s to the early 2000s, the Oakland Athletics had many good teams. They went to 3 straight World Series from 1988 to 1990 and won it all in 1989. After some down years in the mid-90s, they became good again in the late 90s and early 2000s. None of these teams had cheating systems like the Astros, but they did have cheaters on them. Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire both played for the Oakland Athletics together from 1986 to 1992. They were both taking steroids at the time and were 2 of the most powerful players in baseball.
Canseco bids for the second homer of the inning. If it's fair, he's got it.
Whoa.
And it settles into the upper deck.
Oh my goodness.
Canseco left during the 1992 season, but returned in 1997. McGwire played with the A's all the way from 1986 to 97 when he was traded. Both players are known to be some of the best and first players to use steroids during the steroid era of baseball. Then, later on from 1999 to 2001, the Athletics were playing good again, and some of their best players were Jason Giambi and Miguel Tejada. Both Giambi and Tejada were also steroid users. Overall, the A's were helped quite a bit by cheating players. Even though they didn't have an illegal system as a team, it still makes them one of the cheatingest teams for the players that they had in that time. That's all for today's video. Thanks for watching, and thanks to everybody who's subscribed recently. We'll see you next time.